Welcome to the Sunday Comics Brunch, where we dine on comics and comics headlines, hosted by Mr. Andersin and Meredith Loughran. Join them and their guests as they go over the comics headlines from this week and their projects, brought to you by the Comics Newswire and Geek Insider. Isn't that new video so cool? I really liked it. I like the way that the CNW turns into a box. It almost transforms. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Speaking of pretty cool, good morning. It is October 11th. It would have been New York Comic Con today. A lot of us who go to New York Comic Con are just in crappy moods. But, I even got my shirt. This is the one piece. This is what makes me an artist. No one can take away the fact that I'm an artist for the rest of my life, because I released a comic book with my own art in it. That's right. So I will be forever an artist. I will never be called a good artist, but I can be called an artist for the rest of my life. We're doing the best we can. We're here, Sunday brunch. Got a lot of stuff coming out of New York Comic Con. Just because it didn't happen in person doesn't mean it didn't happen for real. But for now, I mean, it did. It's happening right now, as a matter of fact. There's some of their panels already going on. So we're going to get together with Meredith, Chuck, a few other people are going to join us and talk about last week, as it ended on Friday for us. And we're going to go over some topics. We're going to talk about what's going on with Chuck, because Chuck's got some exciting stuff going on, including that viral piece of art he has on his cup, deliberately trying to promote. Smartly turned toward the consumer so they can see.
Always.
Such a pro.
Yeah. Have you done this where you get your lid and you move it just in a certain way so you know it's facing out and all that?
Yeah. Well, if you look behind me, we have product placement galore, including an upcoming book I'm working on. I always have Easter eggs in my background that people don't even know, and some people will catch it. Like, that's a story coming out soon. There's hints about things I've worked on that I don't necessarily take credit for, but they're still mine, maybe under a different name, are hidden in my background. And even something that me and Chuck worked on.
Oh, yeah.
Journey. I don't know why it came up pink in this for some reason. I think I need a new toner. But, this I'm proud of. This is something, once I get permission to share it out with everyone, I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to be giving it to kids who come into the convention scenes, who want things. But enough about me this morning. Meredith, do you want to say good morning, say anything, and then we'll give it to Chuck?
Yeah, just really quickly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Meredith Loughran. I am the associate editor over at geekinsider.com. I am also the executive producer of the Geek Insider podcast, as well as the project coordinator of Indie Vent, which we are going to host another one in November from the 9th through the 13th. And we've got some confirmed guests that are really exciting. Head over to the website. But in the meantime, I'm going to pass it over to Chuck so he can introduce himself. Because he's cool as
F. I don't swear. I'm shy. I'm a very chill dude. Nah, screw that, right? What's going on, guys? Chuck Pineau, Pineau, as you can read right there. I'm a freelance writer and editor, and I'm working on such projects right now as Cat Dad and Supermom, Belial. Those two probably shouldn't be put together. Essence House, I should have put that in the middle just to separate those. And all sorts of other amazing things as both a writer and editor.
Now, you have, how many Kickstarters coming out in the next couple of weeks? Because I know you've told me it's... Because we pushed... we haven't talked about it, but Chuck knows I wanted to push Cat Dad and Supermom out of October because of the election. And I told him that, and I was like, we're not going in October. We might be going...
And I was like, that's a great idea.
Well, also, he's going to be busy with Belial because of, don't tell anyone, but I really am Bobby Gregory. So I have to make those decisions with him. And, it's all about trying to get the perfect time for a book. It's part of Scout now. So we don't want to rush something and look stupid. I still want to talk with the people at Scout and understand what the expectations are for us to run this campaign and do everything right. Try to have a date when we'll be in Diamond. So everything's about lining up right now. So we're not going to rush anything. It's not trying to rush to the presses. So I'm sure Chuck was happy when we decided, okay, time out. We're going to back away from October.
Yeah, literally from the 13th of October until the 1st of November, I have new projects starting, and they're all projects with me as a writer. So that's not like I always, and you know me, I always have a project on Kickstarter as an editor. So I'm always kind of on there and talking and promoting other people's stuff. But these are ones where I am kind of at the forefront pushing these really hard. And so this next month and a half, it's going to be work.
Now, do you want to talk about that? We're going to let both the new gentlemen who came in introduce themselves. But real quick, do you want to mention the other names of it? You had only Belial mentioned.
Belial, and then October 27th is Cthulhu Invades Oz, and I'm in that book with a bunch of really great people, including yourself. And then I also, on November 1st, have Essence House, the novel.
Okay, so there's a lot. Are you worried about the election? Yeah. Are you worried about the election interfering with you?
My thought is, I'm Canadian. I don't give a crap.
All right.
I mean, is it an issue? Probably, but I've decided to remain ignorant to it and just push past it.
All right, so we're going to go in the way that you guys came in. So you're up first. Introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hi, I'm Jamais Jochim, host of webcomics reviews and interviews. Keeping it short and sweet.
Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Nandor Fox Shaffer. I'm the creator and writer of Seasons. I have a Kickstarter going on right now for Seasons Volume 2 Summer. So thanks for having me on.
And welcome to it. So we're just talking about all this stuff going on. Sunday brunch is always just a chill day where we talk comics and have some fun.
Yeah.
But that's Chuck. If you don't know already, or I should go this way because
hey, Chuck, yeah, we've chatted a little bit.
Nice we have, yeah, absolutely. What's up?
And that's
hey,
Meredith.
Good morning.
Right there's Meredith. And we have John the Animator joining us as well. John's about to get dirty.
Wow.
He made an adult. I was like,
wow, holy smoke. I just plugged in.
John's coming to my world. I'm not going to be the only one who's doing kids and adult stuff. I was so happy. There's another person. There's two of us now.
Oh, well, I've passed both sides of the. I've gone onto the adult, past the adult line. Oh, what's going on? He's gone.
No, I'm just checking on Jackson. I don't want
okay.
You have it, John. Introduce yourself, John. Give me a second.
Okay. I'm John Celestri, John the Animator. I've been an animator for 45 years. Now it's going even further than that. Maybe I'm getting into the 50-year mark. But anyway, I animated Boba Fett in the Star Wars Holiday Special. I animated He-Man, She-Ra, Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, Rock and Rule. I've animated Batman commercials back in the 80s. And I've got a full line of comic books now for both kids and adults. How about that? And
you're just on Kickstarter now. The Indiegogo, though, is on demand. Am I correct?
Yeah, Indiegogo is on demand. The Kickstarter is 9 more days left for the kids, for the under 13-year-olds, or from 4 to 12-year-olds. And then once I'm done with that, and I will be fulfilling everything, shipping by the end of November, so in time for all the kids and everybody to get their books by Christmas. And the drawings and the Boba Fett drawings.
And
so, John, John, is there any part of you that wants to do some kind of like celebration for 50 years of working in the industry, or are you more just like, no, I'm just happy to keep working and I just want to keep going?
Well, I'm still well, it's kind of like saying when I hit the 50-year mark, that'll be about in 2015. Okay, so I'm hitting the 45-year, 46-year mark, but when I hit 50, then that'll make me about 76. So then I can do everything, including the comics, the animation, and the full line of comics for every part of the family, and including the adults. And then I may be doing something for the 50th anniversary. Who knows? If I'm there, if I'm here.
So while you're on the seat right now and you have the mic, tell us about the Kickstarter. So we're going to go around the room and let everyone talk about their Kickstarter, except for James and Meredith. Although Meredith does have a Kickstarter to promote, actually. Because there's big news coming for Meredith, actually.
Okay, great. Well, right now, the last 9 more days for the Kickstarter, I'm 75% of the way for a $500 goal. So I got for some reason it's not getting seen in Kickstarter, and that's because I don't have any kind of particular agenda in the books. It's just fun stuff. So I've got 9 more days, and it's for my John the Animator comics. It's the kids. I've got 2 series: Snuffy and Zoe's Toy Box Adventures. That's for kids between the ages of 4 and 7. Snuffy and Zoe are bears, sibling bears, who, when they're bored, jump into their magic toy box and have all kinds of outlandish adventures, like stealing cupcakes from a dragon or getting captured by pirates made out of rubber colorful balloons. So I have 2 books in that series, plus a learning how to draw and color book, that goes along with that. Then for the kids ages 8 to 12, I've got Nicky Nardson Mega Moose. It's a nerd who's bullied, and he gets he's given a magic feather, and when he tickles his nose, he sneezes, and he turns into a Minotaur type character, Mega Moose, who has all the powers of the animal kingdom. And so that I have there are 12. There are 2 adventures, a 12-pager and a 16-pager. So it's about a 32-page book, and they're complete and colored. So all the artwork is done. I just have to go to press, and I'm ready to go with that. The top tier for my I have about 6 tiers in the Kickstarter. The top tier is the Super Duper Mega Moose Super Duper pack, and it has all of the books plus a Boba Fett original pencil sketch that I'm doing for each person that does that. So that's my Kickstarter, and I just, as I said, I only have like $130 that I need to raise, so those people go in. I've fulfilled the Indiegogo campaign, and I have those people. They're going to get their books and such, and then I will go into but the adult stuff hasn't shown up yet. It will in December as a perk.
All right, and Chuck, talk to us about your campaigns. Lyle specifically, and you muted yourself, so unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, I mean, the first one is Belial that comes out on Tuesday, and the exciting thing about that one is we've got a much bigger goal than we've ever hit before. But it's really just because we're so worried about not being able to hit those the shipping goals and all that kind of stuff, that especially with everything that's going on right now. So we did go for a bigger goal, but we're pushing hard, and we've really we've tried to step up to the next level. The thing is that when making the book, there's a lot more things that I considered from a writing aspect, and I really feel like I stepped up in a lot of ways. And then of course the art team did the same, and everybody really stepped up, and now we have 3 variant covers that are coming out, plus we have some more secret things coming along partway through, whether it's covers or prints or other add-ons. So I feel like we've really stepped up this campaign in a way that I've never done before, and I've never been a part of personally. So really excited about it, and just really prepared to bring the funny side of hell to you guys, and hopefully everybody just has a blast with it. And
Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah.
All right. So talk to us about seasons.
Yeah. So seasons, I launched it October 1st. This is for the second volume, but you can get both volumes in the Kickstarter. So people that haven't, read the series or know about it, you can get both volumes there, and at a pretty good discounted rate too. So seasons is a supernatural superhero series. It's planned to be 4 volumes, and each volume is going to be a different season of the year. And the reason for that is it follows this young man through 1 year of his life, and with each passing season, he gains new powers and abilities. So as the seasons change, so do his abilities, and so does he as a person. It's a story about identity and self-discovery. And if you're fans of more grounded superhero stories, or more of a supernatural take on a character study piece, then you'll really love seasons. Like fans of I would say like fans of The Sculptor by Scott McCloud, or J. Michael Straczynski's Midnight Nation, and also, I'd say fans of anyone, like if you like Ed Brubaker, Jeff Johns. I really grew up reading a lot of them, and a lot of my style and the kind of stories I want to tell are kind of taken from them. So we just hit halfway funded, 50%, just a day or so ago, and it's only been on there for 10 days. So we just hit 3K, which is really, really exciting. And compared to my other 2 Kickstarter projects, this is the fastest that any of them have raised. So I'm really, really thrilled about it, really humbled and overwhelmed too. And what's really cool is for people that, if they don't know if they'll like it or not, Seasons is everywhere pretty much to read for free. So I have a website. It's seasonsthecomicbook.com, and you can read the entire first volume for free. And then I also have the first 50 pages on there too, for volume 2. So if people want to know where does the story go from here, and should I back volume 2, will I like it? Will it still keep up the same energy and the same style? They can read it on there too. And it's on Webtoons, it's on Macroverse, it's on Tapastic, it's on Comixology. So it's really everywhere that you can find digital comics, or and I'm always, happy to talk with anyone about it, and share some art. And it's really beautiful work by my artist Anthony Gonzalez Clark. We've been working together for about 4 or 5 years now on this series, and it's a really ambitious project, but we've gotten really, really good feedback, and people like Jason Brubaker, Eisner nominee, and Brian Michael Bendis, a lot of great writers and people in the industry really seem to dig it and love it. So we hope you will too.
Meredith, you're up. So, I'm sorry, Chuck, go ahead.
How the hell did you get those guys to talk about your book?
Well,
come on, how is no one else asking that question?
Persistence and really just getting it in front of their faces. I'd email them a lot, and I would, I'm kind of a pestering type, with my work, because I really believe in it and I really want people to look at it. And honestly, Jason Brubaker is a really nice guy and really open to anyone showing them stuff. And I don't know why Brian Michael Bendis even looked at it, because I was just totally stunned myself when he got me a reply back and talked with me about it. And I was just wow. And I've met I've showed it to a few other writers at different conventions, like Colin Bunn and Tom King, Jason Aaron, and they all bought it, which is really cool. I know I don't have the proof, but I've been to these conventions, and I've talked to these people, and it's been a really, really great experience, just sharing it with everyone. And we've been really working hard on volume 2, and a lot of people have been asking about it. And so it's been such a exciting journey for for us, because there's a lot of demand for it, and we're just trying to maximize how much we can share it and give it to people.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to pop in here before I actually share my stuff. We're going to take a quick break and give some love to Mobile Edge. They are one of the sponsors for Geek Insider. And then we'll be right back.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
All right, and we're back with Sunday Comics Brunch. Okay, so there are so many hats that I'm wearing, so many things that I'm actually into that it's kind of crazy. But the first thing that I wanted to mention was Indie Vent, and that is something that is under the Geek Insider banner. And it is an online virtual event. We don't like to call it a Comic Con necessarily because Geek Insider is all encompassing, with entertainment, news, tech, so we cover comic books, film, books, and things like that. So, we've covered blockchain stuff and all that. But the theme is going to be kind of like in the afterglow of Halloween. We want to continue on with the spooky stories, horror, crime thrillers, and things like that. So we are inviting people for this week-long event. It's November 9th through the 13th. And being the project coordinator, I'm kind of the keeper of the calendar. I'm the one that you would contact if you wanted to be a part of it. Bringing your own show, if you've got your own show and you want to kind of stay with the theme. If you have a panel idea and you're like, hey, the art of drawing a horror cover, or the art of writing a thriller, a crime story, anything like that, we're open to. We've got a couple of confirmed guests. We've actually got Charles Band from Full Moon Features coming. We've got Phantasmagoria. We've got the Dead Enders, which is a web series. They're going to do a little skit, and then they're going to sit with us live, and it's going to be so much fun. So it's jam-packed full of stuff. Now, kind of going back into comics, though, the exciting news that the fact that I have submitted a 2-page story to go into Hybrids, which is Luke Stone's baby. And so Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, trade paperback. He reached goal where he can now add those 12 extra pages. I've got 2 of them. The art looks amazing, and so that will be my very first comic book credit. And I know it's only 2 pages, but I'm very excited about it. Yeah,
No.
right?
No.
Congrats.
The first time is always is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Meredith, remember, Hybrids is both on Kickstarter and it's on Indiegogo, so
Yeah.
you have no excuse. Any platform that you want to be on for crowdfunding.
And here's the other thing, and I want to promote this. I haven't been promoting it as heavy as I wanted to, but Geek Insider actually has sponsored a secret tier for Hybrids, and I'll share that link. I won't do it publicly here. I'll do it on social media and stuff like that, because the last time I started sharing links, we got kicked off of YouTube for spamming. So, but anyway, the secret tier actually includes the Canaan White variant cover. It includes a bookmark, a bracelet, a phone grip.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so it's not just me.
Okay,
No.
so I don't know where I left off there. I think I froze, but
Canaan White.
Something about a phone case?
Okay, Canaan White variant cover, phone grip, bracelet, bookmark, free shipping, which is huge in my book. I think that's huge because that's just savings right off the top. Plus, you get a 1 in 30 chance of getting a USB 200-watt mini charger. So it's called the Charge Up campaign. So it's really cool. I'll drop the link for anybody who's interested. All of that for $50 pledge.
So you and I actually share a credit because I got to co-write on a story in that trade as well, and I also edited a bunch of the stuff in there. So you and I get to share our names in that book together, which means when I get my trade, I'm gonna have to get you to sign it, hon.
And like I said, for me, I'm like, oh, it's only 2 pages, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's still a credit, and it's one step. And so it's, I had the goal, I think this was back in May, of having that first comic book credit within a year, or at least in a year. And I'm there, guys. It's very exciting.
All right.
Goal is a completed comic. Oh.
So, but that's really it. Like I said, I'm going to drop that secret link so that you guys, anybody who's interested, again, it's a $50 tier. It's nothing to snooze about, but you get a lot and that chance to win a charger. So it's really cool for Geek Insider. Back to you, Rob.
I don't have a Kickstarter right now. I'm very happy about that. I like it.
Should be.
But now, Jamie, what are you working on?
Right now, I'm trying to get the Comics Creator Central up and going, which is sort of fun. So
I'll be right back. Shit happens.
Okay. Real quick, a couple months ago, I applied for a YouTube influencers thing. I decided dedicated to basically doing things for comic creators. So I've got basically what it is you set up idea lists and hope basically people will come in and basically buy the stuff off the idea list. So this being me, I've got a list for pretty much everything you need for art supplies, convention supplies. I mean, there's lots of stuff you can do with PVC, and so that's actually part of the shop. Whenever you go to the conventions, you see how people doing all their signs. There's various things for PVC. So that had to be talked to. So I'm going to talk to Chris Flick, who's got his own convention book done. So I talked to him about how to set stuff up. And, of course, there's also a lot of stuff about writing and as well as documentaries on comic books.
Awesome.
So now I just have to get serious about the comic book directory itself because I'd like to have some sort of main directory for a lot of the independent comics and web comics that are available on Amazon, as opposed to simply just going through and trying to find them manually type of thing.
Yeah.
So now, New York Comic Con. Who was actually supposed to be there if the world was open up? I know Rob was, and he's kind of sad about that. Anybody else? No.
No, I hadn't signed up or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I like to make money.
I don't like to. Yeah, it's like I don't like to spend it because if you go there, like basically, your life savings are gone.
Now, I had a friend of mine who,
Let me come in here first. You got it wrong. That's San Diego Comic Con. In all fairness, New York Comic Con, you might not make a lot of profit, but you will make profit. I have never done something in New York Comic Con where I had a table where I didn't make some profit. It covers all of its own costs. Plus, there's nowhere in the world where you can go to meet so many people in an artist alley, make so many connections. To this date, I have connections that are helping me open doors. Mm-hmm. It changes your career. So for anyone listening, it's San Diego. Yes, I'd agree with that. But New York Comic Con, it changes your career.
And I'm not attacking New York Comic Con. I'm just saying at this point, I don't know that it's viable for me. I feel like there's another kind of level that I need to get to. And I'm getting there. But I don't quite think that my career at this moment is ready for New York Comic Con. So that's not an attack on Comic Con. That's an attack on me more than anything else.
See, and my perception is, hey, as long as you're there to sell books and your wares, and you stay away from, like fangirling or fanboying about, some of the stars that are there and spending like $100 for an autograph and a photo.
Yeah.
Then maybe you can walk away with some money in your pocket. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's also about not staying in Manhattan, not going to be a tourist. So many people make that mistake. They try to stay in Manhattan. You never stay in Manhattan. You stay in Brooklyn. You stay in Queens. Or you stay in Westbury. Out in Long Island, it's a little bit longer of a commute. You have to wake up early. But it's the sacrifices you make. You can get hotels during that weekend for like $50 because nothing's going on because everyone's in New York.
Mm-hmm. And Jody McPhee is in the house here. 10th anniversary Amazonia here. He says, money can be made in New York Comic Con. It changed my trajectory in 2016.
Good.
So,
Nice.
Yeah. Good to
Joe's
know.
a good dude, man. He's done a lot of really cool work, and he had a Kickstarter on not too long ago, or is it still on right now?
I think it's still going.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that I jumped on it.
It's still going.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Rob, when are you going to get back so we can look at some of the headlines? You were going to talk about Comic-Con, I think, some more. Some of the news that's coming out of there is interesting.
Meredith, what'd you say?
Let me repeat myself. You were talking about New York Comic Con and a lot of the news that was coming out there. Plus, we have a poll that you've put out to talk about some of the news, some of the things that we were going to cover with our brunch guests today.
Yes, and let's go here. So basically what we do every week, we're actually changing the format a little bit. Every day will now get its own different poll, and at the end of the week, we'll take the top 3 of every poll and let it run off for the top headlines of the week, because we're covering so much news now. To be honest with you, I'm pushing news till Tuesday now. We have that much, not just with New York Comic Con, but a lot of creators like what we're doing with the CNW, the Comics Newswire. We're being told it's helping people. So we want to try to help people as much as we can and get these stories out there. So we're trying to be as fair as we can. So we don't want just mainstream news to be able to make it to the end of the week. That's why one of the choices will be mine. But this week, let's see, this week so far we have, hold on, I'm scrolling. Okay, I'll show my screen with you guys.
You okay?
I'm mid scroll because Jack's distracted me. Real life happens still while you're live.
Oh, don't we know it?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so, is this the right one? I'll tell you in a second. Let's see. This was October 9th. Yeah, here we go. So, Regal Monday. This was from Monday. Regal Cinemas are closing after No Time to Die delay. So that's it. Regal is closing.
Wow, man.
No more. 007 was pushed, so they're closing down. It's not permanent yet, but you guys are in the wrong screen. That's why you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Hold on, I'll switch that. But yeah, it's a real life problem now. What do you guys think about that? That's our first topic. This was the number one choice for the week. With the bullet, it was the fact that we're losing movie theaters potentially.
Well, it is so bad for just, for the industry. I mean, how do you ramp back up? It takes a long while. I mean, you need to have the product to show. But even our Kentucky theater here, which is not a first run, it is just a theater that has been run for quite a long time, doing just special films and what have you. It's just not a good time to gather under one roof, especially when and that's the problem. I mean, there is the logistics and just the whole manner of entertainment in a public forum is not It doesn't go by what. Let's put it this way: a pandemic does not care. It doesn't care about your pocketbook.
Yeah.
And that's the adaptation human, that has to be made.
One quick thing, guys, try to avoid using the P word, the C word, or any mention of that. They're now pulling videos off of Facebook for even mentioning it more than once.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's the world we live in because there's so many people out there spreading untruths.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even use the word that refers to the other word. I call it untruth now because even mentioning the L word for untruth could get you pulled. I saw a ridiculous list of the words they're pulling videos now and examining them because we're right before the election. So now everything can be political. Yes, if you've been sharing things and noticing that you're getting in trouble faster at Facebook or you're not getting the same reach, Facebook is downstreaming everyone. But back to the Regal thing. Chuck, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, you know what? What this reminds me is that our society, and especially business in our society, has gotten too comfortable and too kind of privileged, actually. And so they feel like, oh, this system is here and we're good and everything's going to be fine. It's like, no. The greatest businesses on the planet are all about pivoting. I mean, Nintendo has been around for hundreds of years. And that's because it started, doing like little card games and all that kind of stuff. And they kept changing and switching up and doing different things and all that kind of stuff. And so, instead of just saying, oh, well, we can't keep doing business the way we were doing it, so I guess we're done. It's like, no, you change, Blockbuster, if you saw that Netflix was doing something, why didn't you pivot and try to aim in that direction instead of just going, well, we had a good run? And so with theaters now, why are they not looking and going, you know what, man? This is a really good time to maybe take the step back. Maybe we should look into doing something like drive-ins. And now all of a sudden drive-in theaters are starting to come back, What else has come back? Vinyl comes back constantly. It keeps coming back. And because there's something to it. And so I think what we need to do is stop lamenting bad business choices and instead recognize that there is a chance to pivot. There is a chance to look and go, okay, this bad thing is happening. What can we do? And rather than sit and beg for some kind of handout or some kind of government stipend or whatever, we go, what do we have to do with our business? And we are all small business owners. What can we do with our businesses to shift things in a direction that will allow us to continue to work and yet still hopefully thrive and move on in this new world? Because it will constantly, and I'm sure someone like John can tell you over his 50-year career, the world is constantly changing. So why are our businesses not doing the same thing?
Well, just to answer that, Meredith, and I'll let you have it, you have to mix in the fact that they're being ordered by CDC to reduce. They're being forced by something unnatural and on the economy. So there are certain things that you can't blame on them. I've seen a restaurant close because they can no longer allow, I forgot when you take the food yourself, like a giant salad bar with sweet tomato, they closed. You can't change your business model at that point. That is your business model. It causes you to close. With the theaters, I do see what you're saying. Yes, drive-ins are a possibility. But Regal has all these leases for these buildings now, and that's what's killing them. It's the leases on all these things. I don't think it's necessarily their fault. We do see AMC. Hold on, I'm going to scream at Jack. So, we see AMC trying to do online now. They're trying to break in by doing movies online. So you're right. We see pivots. But some of this just isn't their fault. This is just an ass-kicking that isn't fair. And we've seen this before in the movie industry. I wanted to point that out. Remember, this isn't the first time a flu has affected a modern economy. Back in 1918, the movie industry went through a lull as well. And a lot of theaters actually did close because of this. Sports, all that. And remember, and I stress this to everyone who's really paranoid, right after the Spanish flu, we went into an era called the Roaring '20s. Humans bounce back. They are resilient. This will all return. We might not have a Regal on the other end of it, but there'll be another business that comes in the shadow, and that's capitalism. Someone will figure it out. And like Chuck said, the next business, they're going to think, well, what happens if there's ever a pandemic again?
Yeah.
How do I build? So I know, and I'm not supposed to say that word, but how do I build on top of the ashes of someone who's fallen? Maybe we do need to continue to do the outdoor events. Maybe I have to figure out how we can do online better for to reach our. Maybe you pay more. Maybe you pay double the admission cost to get the movie at home. I don't know. I might do that. Have 20 of your friends over, pay $50 to get the video, and you're spending less. You're actually spending less, and that's pure profit for them. So I agree with you, Meredith. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I love what Chuck said. I agree with everything. You know, I think this might be the renaissance of drive-in theaters. I've missed them. I'm glad to see that they're coming back. The other thing is that with the movie theaters, the overhead of just the lease for the buildings, plus buying the license to play those movies. I mean, quite honestly, that's been a losing business from the get-go. And the fact that they've lasted this long is amazing. The reason being is that for the most part, I think the first 1 or 2 weeks that a new release is out, all of their profit basically goes to paying for that. That's why you're paying $10 for a bucket of popcorn, because that's how they're paying their bills.
Yeah.
The ticket sales go to the producers and stuff, and for the licensing to play those movies and have it in your building. So when you're paying for popcorn, you know, like when you're sneaking in your bag of candy and stuff, you're kind of taking from them because that's how they're paying their bills and their employees. Having said that, if Regal had seen this coming, it's like Kodak. They actually created the digital camera, but they said, "Nah, film's going to be around forever." Hello, you know. They went under. They're now. It seems like they're rebounding. They're trying to come back. Kodak is still relevant, but they're behind because they didn't pivot, like Chuck was saying. Had Regal seen this coming, had they seen this digital age, why weren't they the first ones to actually have a streaming service and say, "Hey, this is Regal streaming. You know, you pay for this subscription, and you can get these movies for however amount of time." Why didn't they do that? So I feel bad in a way because nobody likes to see business fail, but at the same time, you saw it coming. You just didn't want to address it, and maybe you just thought you were too big to fail.
Actually, I do know about the streaming thing. They're not allowed. They weren't allowed because remember, all these companies with their new contracts knew that they were all going to get money for streaming. Netflix changed the industry. So when they give them their thing, there's already negotiated in, like you said. I agree with you that movie theaters have been anecdotal because they've been made into a position, like you said, where popcorn has to be their driving force for money. AMC brought in pretzels. They brought in they gave you chairs now. They charge you more to sit in nicer chairs. So to Chuck's point, AMC kind of is doing okay because even in this current 2020, they have ability to seat you further apart because they have lounge chairs. So they've already kind of been preparing to what Meredith has been saying. I don't blame them for not seeing this coming because, in all honesty, we should be able to have handled this so much better. We should have been able to stop this. We have technology that could have stopped this. We did a horrible job that hopefully we learn from this point on. And as you hear, Jax has just had a sudden problem because a video game froze. That's my life every day. But that's the point being, I don't think you can blame them for not seeing it coming. But yeah, they've been also, in fairness, Regal's been half out the door since before this. Regal was not a strong company. AMC was handing them their butt.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that I like, I don't have a Regal in my town, but one thing that I like that my theater was doing after they reopened and they still weren't getting any new movies, they for the longest time they'd always have like these flashback Wednesdays and Sundays where they would play like old films, and they were trying to do that more, since they weren't getting any new stuff. And I actually think it really helped them because, there's a lot of movies that people, either weren't able to see or maybe they really love. And they're like, oh, hey, I'd love to see that, on a big screen and go to the movie theater. and a lot of people miss movies, and so I think that was a good way to adapt. And I don't know what Regal was doing with that, but I really liked how my local theater was trying to adapt in that way, and I think it helped kind of keep them afloat for a little bit.
Yeah, well, the Kentucky theater I'm thinking about talking about, that's what their whole premise was films there, and they still couldn't do it. It really depends on what you're in terms for film. The theater depends on what the tastes of your community. If what they're looking for is the latest blockbuster or family film or whatever the latest thing is, that's what's going to drive. But then you only have a handful of people, percentage-wise of your movie theater, audience. Yeah, it depends on what cities you're in. In Lexington, it basically, we have Regal, AMC. We have all of that, but they are dependent upon that the latest films to bring people in, and that's that.
Yeah, and something I worry about is all these companies and that are pulling their movies and pushing them to next year. It's like I totally get it, but at the same time, the more I see it, the more I'm like, well, when you guys want to put movies back in theaters in 2021, there might not be any theaters to put them back to. So like, what do you expect to do except to create your own,
but you got to realize
streaming, but.
Yeah, but there's going to be a big business, and I'll give it to James next. There's going to be a big business that will go right in and rent all those places and start right up. I mean, it's not like movie theaters are getting torn down this year. There's going to be a billionaire who shows up and refinances everything. Yeah, and I guess that we have to take a bump. Is that what you're trying to tell me with it?
After James, and then we'll read Joe's message, and then we'll take a quick bump.
All right, so making this really quick, sort of building on what Rob's saying, is as soon as you have people that are allowed back into theaters, I think you're going to see a real quick, basically a flood of indies coming up, because you're going to have a lot of theaters looking for a lot of movies, and you're going to have a lot of indie distribution companies and all that say, hey, we've got all this really cool stuff ready to go. Take advantage of it and go ahead and use it. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help. I'm got Sacramento right in my back door right now, which is actually starting to prep up for a lot of movie production. Cool. So I think you're gonna be seeing, as soon as you're allowed to have those movies back in there, or the audience is back in the theaters, I think you're definitely gonna see a new rush of indie movies, and it's gonna be all sorts of interesting.
That'd be awesome. I would love that. That'd be like all right, let's do it.
Yeah, you know what? And you have streaming services like Shudder, who do have a lot of independent movies. It's in the horror genre, but there are other ones that are cropping up for those other genres. And I think that's really cool. Before we take the break, Joe D. McPhee here has a pretty long comment. The back end of your comment is disappeared. It's too long, Joe. But here we go. Movie theaters can't pivot easily like other entities. Again, physical establishments who rely on attendees coming through the door don't see that online streaming as the same in terms of revenue due to marketing and competition to keep rent paid. Again, CDC has set guidelines where they could open at smaller capacity, where they can do custom experiences that people can enjoy safely. Plus, how are they going to pay for the right to establish movie viewing unless they own the copies? So the end of that is not showing up because it was kind of long. Break up your comments, please. But what I'm going to do...
Meredith, when we come back, we're going to switch gears because there are other topics we want to dive into.
Yes. So we'll be right back.
Now, every Sunday morning, longtime independent comics creator and Indie Volt podcaster Randy Zimmerman hosts a discussion on the lighter side of comics, the more whimsical and fun comics out there, on the Sunday Funnies. That's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday on Indie Volt, indievolt.com, the Indie Volt YouTube channel, and the usual Indie Volt sites on Facebook. Listen in, won't you? Participate in the chat. Let's have some fun. See you there.
And we're back. Okay, so the end of Joe's comment was, it's not an easy transition. No, it's not. Any kind of pivot. Sometimes it hurts. I know that the older I get, one part of my body might be moving the other way and the other part is going, nah, don't think so.
Speaking of pivoting, let's pivot to the next topic. So again, you guys, Jack, always timing, Jax. Jax has perfect timing to just be in the frame. So here we go. This is the weekend. Oh, sorry, the wrong one. Again, you could vote for next week already because we had so many things come out from New York Comic Con. And I don't know why the browser redid itself the minute I touched it, but it did. All right, here we go. So National Bullying Prevention. That's a big one that a lot of people surprisingly didn't talk about for some reason. This is the beginning of National Bullying Awareness and Prevention Month. And this Monday was supposed to be a day where everyone wore blue to show that they were going to help try to prevent bullying. Now, my son's local school obviously did this, and you guys saw pictures of me and him in blue running around that day. What do you guys think about bullying? This is one of those things, and Chuck knows that we worked on it with Cat Dad and Supermom, but he also knows that it is an important thing for me in general because I got bullied growing up. So it's something that stays with me, and kids can't escape it. And me and Chuck have talked about the fact that we have to talk about online bullying next in Cat Dad and Supermom, probably in issue 3. So I'm going to leave it in the room. How important is it for us to talk about it as adults to help the children get past bullying?
Very important. It's something we're having to deal with a lot of weird ways right now, and it's just I'm not really sure how to go forward on some of the issues with the problem. So, I mean, the one I'm starting to see a lot of and way too much is situations where you've got, these schools have the no bullying tolerance or zero tolerance on the bullying, but you still have a lot of the bullying happening because it's getting reported and it's being ignored. So, there's got to be a better solution out there.
All right, sounds good. And who else wants something?
I mean, for me, my oldest was bullied so rough for being gay and trans that they ended up running away across the entire country. And I literally had to chase them down. My wife and I had to drive from Texas to Minneapolis, Minnesota to go get them because they had to work that hard to get away from it and to get away from the bullying. So yeah, I think it's a massive issue. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and there's got to be something that we can do. And I think just telling people, well, you need to have a thicker skin, it ain't working. It ain't working. And the problem is that we have too much of this. It's been there since we were young. You've got too much of this like snitches get stitches sort of thing. So nobody wants to tell on anyone, and everybody is trying to gain power however they can, and bullying is an easy way to gain that power. And there's got to be some other way that we can, as a society and as a people, infuse our citizens and our family and our friends with this power without them feeling like they have to take it. Will it stop it altogether? No, bullying will always be there in some aspect, but we can certainly do stuff to curb it so it's not at the level it is.
Jameis, I just muted you because you're the one with the bird. So when you have to talk, please just unmute yourself. Good points, Chuck. Good points. Anyone else? Because I have a lot to say on this topic.
Well, I was teased and bullied when I was growing up. And, it got to a point where it was just so dark and I turned to writing because of that, and probably one of the main reasons why I love writing horror thrillers and crime and serial killers and things like that, because I can do that in my imagination. I can do that on paper, but I don't have time for jail. The thing is, I had to learn those coping mechanisms. So as an adult, a lot of these things that I see, it's like water off my back. I've got a thicker skin for it. I'm not saying that it's a rite of passage. It was terrible. It was terrible. I hated it. I hated school. I hated people. I didn't want to be around anybody. I've eventually grown to say, to actually put in the mindset that these people in my life right now in high school, you don't have a choice because you see them every day. So it's really hard. But when you leave, it's part of that ability for me to compartmentalize and go, okay, I'm home. They are not in my life. And I had to make sure that at the end of the day, I was like, okay, you know what? These people aren't relevant in my life after school. So I just have to make it through school and try not to wear that every single day, because it was terrible. I mean, there were points in my life where I thought about suicide. I didn't go through with it. I never made any attempts, but the thought was there. And to be in such a dark place, those are things that we need to talk about openly, honestly, and say, hey, what's happening right then and there, these people, if you're giving them that much real estate in your mind, you need to figure out how to put up those roadblocks so that they're not taking up that real estate, and find that self-confidence and things like that. Because bullying, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's through the ages. It's that old idea of that game, King of the Mountain. Somebody's going to be up on top all the time. Somebody's going to climb up and try and knock them down. Period. That's human nature. All right. So we have to learn to cope. Does that mean it's a good thing? No. But we can teach the younger generation. We can teach our peers to be better and cope and find those mechanisms to get through the day, then get through your week, and then finally say, hey, you know what? What's happening out there is like, I've got my own secure bubble. I am secure in this sense of self, and move on. It took me a long time to do that. It's not an overnight thing. So, but I'll get off the soapbox because I'm that for days.
Yeah. Go ahead, John. Yeah, go ahead.
My coping, I mean, when I was a kid, my name is Gianfranco. And growing up in Brooklyn, this is in the 50s, and the kids in the neighborhood made a lot of fun. They made fun of me and my name because they were calling me John Frankfurter, and they were just yelling. I mean, they're using the howdy doody, turning team. It's John Frankfurter. It's John whatever it is. I was a very meek kid, but I was also a big kid. I didn't, that was their bullying thing. They were just, making fun of me continually. I mean, as groups. I'm leaning across my and the focus of that. I think I was maybe about 10 years or 9 or 10 years old, the 5th grade. So this is the 5th grade. They're still doing it all the way through, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. So that's your major life, as a kid. I'm leaning outside out my window, and this is the apartment building that I lived in, and my dad is downstairs, and he's leaning on the car, in his car, and so these kids, like I have 4, 5, 6 kids, they see me, they walk by and start shouting out at me, calling me names and whatnot. And my dad said, "What are you making fun of him?" And whatnot. I said, "Because he won't come down and fight." Now this is your Jack Kirby moment, okay? And my dad said, "Okay, come on down, John." So he called me, got down. He says, "Okay, you want to fight him? Let's go." So, and that was basically it. It was just and it was over in 3 punches because I just whacked the guy in the nose. He had a bloody nose. That was it. And and that was the end of it for that neighborhood. But I still had to I still had to fight, when I went to another school. So anyway, but sometimes standing up to bullies is the only way to do. Now, this is a different time. I understand that. But in essence, the only way you defeat a bully is by standing up to them. And I know some people can handle it. Some people can't. I'm just saying this is my perspective.
Yeah.
And, in some way, either as a society, you must, if you have people who are too weak to stand up for themselves, well, then as a society, you have to stand up for them and help them understand how to stand up for themselves. Because then you're dealing with survival of the fittest. And that what we have so much of that going on in our society on an economic basis.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't do that because the bullies are too big when you talk about the big bullies. So anyway, that's my perspective. And I have to go make pancakes now, as you know. So, anyway.
You know, and I do want to say something about that perception of somebody being. Yep.
Nader was going to say something. Remember?
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I really like what you had to say, John.
One second. John, once again, do the plug. Sorry, guys. Do the plug so you can get out of here. And then
that's okay. I'm making pancakes, my wife, and we've been doing it for 35, 40 years. Anyway, I've got my Kickstarter, and just go to my Kickstarter is John the Animator Comics. Help me get over that that small amount, and you'll be really surprised at what you get for your support with that. So anyway, go ahead, Nandor.
Oh yeah, and it's Nandor.
Nandor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. No, I was just like I really like what you had to say, and I think that that was kind of what I was going to say was just like people need that support system and that encouragement to stand up for themselves, and they do need that secureness, and also I think it's really important for people to realize that you're not what other people say, and like you're so much more than what other people say, and they need that support and that encouragement to realize that, and to be confident in that. And but yeah, and on a psychological level, everyone's a little different there, and I think raising awareness is very, very important, and not downplaying anyone like, oh, you're just too sensitive or what, you never want to do that. I think you really want to like lift them up and not just be like, oh, whatever. And I think that over time, as you grow up, those things definitely make you stronger as a person. There's always a way to try to kind of channel that energy and that anger or that resentment, and make yourself a better person. And I think what's really important too is to find the larger issue at heart of okay, why are people why are kids bullying each other, and try to help those kids too, and realize that that's not the right thing to do. And you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting them, and you're hurting your society. You're hurting everyone by doing that. And it needs to kind of go back to if we can kind of cut it off at the root as much as we can, then from there on we can build better, stronger people.
Mm-hmm. And I actually wanted to piggyback off of what John said, because he said something about perception. And, here's a funny example, and I think you can all kind of understand it, is when I think about my parents, okay, I'm nearly 50 years old. When I think about my parents, that memory of them, they seem like they're 10 feet tall. All right. They're still my parents. They're these huge entities. In reality, my mother's like 4'11". My father used to be 5'10". So the reality is just they are much smaller. They're human, but my imagination, my perception of them, my memories and things, they're all 10 feet tall. And so when we can actually step back from the thing that's painful, and it might be coming home from school and having to process that, just the thing that you have to keep in mind is that, again, it's that mental real estate. That perception is that it's a lot bigger. It's your world. And the reality is it was what happened at school, So if we can, I don't know how to teach that except to talk about my own experiences and hope that people say, yeah, I understand that, and develop their own coping mechanisms. But
Yeah.
John, thank you. I know that you have to get going. Gotta make pancakes. Gotta feed the woman.
Okay, there you go. Take care, guys.
Yeah,
Have a
nice
good
to meet
night.
you, John.
Take care. Ciao.
Thank you.
Also, just real quick, I'll have to. I unfortunately I have to go as well, but I wanted to thank everyone for having me on, and it was great to be here. And I'll just plug Seasons again one more time. And so we have 20 days left. It's on Kickstarter right now. Seasons Volume 2 Summer. We're at 61 backers, and we still got a little bit to go, but we have 20 days left, and like I said, like compared to my other two, this is like really, really great. So we're really excited and have no doubts about it being funded. So if anyone could share it and check it out, and message me, let me know what you think. If there's any stretch goals or rewards that you guys would want to see on there, or something that would be really fun and interesting, let me know too, because I'm always trying to make it the best it can be. And so and it's a hardcover book. I'll show real quick. This is the first volume, and it's a hardcover, and it's over 120 pages. And so this is what volume 2 is going to be like. But we're really trying to hit the stretch goal for the 6,500 stretch goal, because what we want to do is add some embossing and gloss to the cover. This is just like kind of a straight matte cover. And it's really great, and it's only $20. It's a really good deal. It's sturdy. You never have to worry about it bending or anything like that. And also for people who want the collector's edition, we're going to have something similar to this, a book plate that's numbered and signed by both me and the artist, and it's going to be numbered out of so many copies. And so for people who want the collector's edition that's signed and it has this exclusive book plate, you guys can get that too for volume 2. So, and like I said, if you haven't read volume 1, it's on there as well. So there's a bundle. It's a discounted bundle for people that want it, and they're both going to be hardcover, $20. It's a really good deal, and I'll just show off some art real quick from volume 1. Get out of this glare here, but and it's not your standard black and white comic. There's a lot of ink wash, a lot of really great composition. So, but yeah, I just wanted to show that off and let everyone know, it's a real thing, and this is what we want to do for volume 2.
Very cool. Thank you, Nandor.
Yeah, thank you guys. But yeah, I'll have to go, but thank you for having me on, and I'd love to be on again. I'll try to be on again and talk with you all. It's been really fun.
Yeah,
Thanks,
looks like,
Yep, Sunday Comics Brunch, Sundays at
All right.
8 a.m.
That's
Eastern.
awesome. Cool. Thanks again, Rob.
All right,
See you,
later,
bud.
dude. Have
See
a
you,
great
Chuck.
day. All right, so a few points that were made that I wanted to go over, and we're going to be joined by Sean in just a second. His camera's waking up. There is a double standard with bullying right now in America. One of those double standards is we tell children that they can't fight back. They have to take the abuse. This is the wrong way. This has confused the issue in a very big way. We have to talk about, and John touched on this, and Meredith touched on this, the reasons why these kids are bullying. A lot of times it points back to a home. I know we don't want to have those conversations just yet, but one day we're going to have to sit down and we're going to have schools start looking into home life and see what's going on there. And there's a lot of problems that are coming from home with these kids, and it's usually one or two kids. And we can't just throw these kids away. We have to step up. We have a broken system for child welfare. We have to start focusing on this from the ground up. And it's definitely going to be something we're all going to have to look at. We're not going to be able to solve it overnight. Another thing that I want to talk about before we go on, just for 5 minutes, because we are getting towards the halfway, past the halfway and almost into the 3/4 mark now. I want to talk about bullying in the industry. We've seen a lot of this politically. I don't want to go into the politics behind any of the bullying. I just want you to give advice to someone in this industry who's being bullied right now for possibly their beliefs. Maybe they're getting bullied because they're not saying there's something, or they're not against someone. What do you think when someone's coming at you and you know that they're just using bullying practices, whether they're talking behind your back, like we see is so common nowadays, or calling you out because of you being a snowflake or a Nazi? And yes, I've gotten both on the same day. Go figure that one out. And or it could just be as simple as someone calling you out because they don't like your poster behind you, because to them, your poster affects their feelings. Your banner affects their delicate little feelings. So they decide to call you something that is completely untrue to justify how they feel about something. So what advice do you give? And I'll end it with the advice I would give, even to myself, having gone through a lot of online bullying. And I'll save that to the end, but we'll go around the room. How about we start with Chuck this time?
Double down. I know that sounds so silly, but seriously, at the end of the day, when they're attacking you, they're attacking the brand, the person, all of this kind of stuff. And if that stuff simply isn't true, or their perception isn't true, or whatever, it's time to remind the people what is true. So double down. Explain your brand. Show that stuff off. And if they don't like that stuff about you, okay, fine. But that is who you are, and that is what you're selling. So just keep selling it, because the thing is that the people who are going to care about that stuff will see it. They'll see your brand and what you want, and they'll go to that. Whereas if this person has decided you are a snowflake, or you're this, and I feel that way, well, you know what? This is what I am. And if that's what that is to you, then fine. I am that. Go f yourself. Because this is what I'm selling. This is who I am. And I really don't care how you feel about it, because I'm not selling to you. I'll sell to them. That's my
There's
take.
Sean.
Hey guys.
Sean,
What's
you want
up?
to take a minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Jameis?
Sure. Hey everyone. My name is Sean. I'm from. I created Bit Shinobi. I'm currently crowdfunding to get my comic book together so I can pay my team to get it started. We're launching October 31st.
All right.
All right, Jameis, go ahead.
This is one of those times you definitely want to network a little bit, because you've got a lot of people that just don't feel comfortable defending themselves. And sometimes you need to have somebody who's willing to come in and basically defend them for themselves. Does that make any sense? So it's just, otherwise you've got to figure out a way to defend yourself. And sometimes it can get really weird, really interesting. And I have no idea how to really advise how to do that for anybody else, because the way I dealt with it as a kid was entirely different than the way a lot of you guys dealt with it. So all I can say is basically just have somebody there who's willing to back you up, and hope that helps.
Mm-hmm.
I like comic book black belt. Whoever that is, they like me. I like them.
You're on mute, Rob.
I don't know why it didn't unmute. He's Russ Leach. He runs the Indiegogo campaign for Only Death Can Save Us Now in stretch goals. Sean, the question, I don't know if you heard it, because I saw you were having some trouble getting in. The question is, what advice would you give to another creator who you know is getting bullied? I mean, Chuck had said some good things. It's hard to prove what's not true, though, sometimes, I will say, about that. But that's the basic idea. Like when someone makes up a lie, because the lies are the hardest things, because when it's a lie,
Lies are the hardest thing.
You know, those are the hardest ones, because, you know, you're a racist. Well, I have you already lost. No matter what you finish that with, you've already lost. So there's definitely some, I guess, treacherous waters out there that you have to worry about. But how would you advise a friend creator, a fellow creator that you see getting bullied online? And you know it's bullying. It's not just a fight with someone, but there are a bunch of people. And let's be honest, in this industry, groups of people are out there who like to bully together. They do it almost as sport. And they've tried with me and ran away. I don't know what I did, but apparently I'm mean. But how would you do it, Sean? What advice would you give? Don't be mean. So I was told that I can't be mean.
Well, as someone when I grew up in a small town, and being like the only minority, I always got picked on all the time for everything. So I realized that my friends stood up for me. So just get your friends together and stand up. Don't tolerate it, and call them out on it. Just take screenshots and be like, look at look at how this guy, look at what this clown's doing. And just don't feed into the anger. Just bring your points. And usually once you start feeding them with logic, you start seeing their arguments breaking apart, and then they start cussing at you and everything. And then that just makes them look bad.
And he's on mute again. We're going to actually take a really quick bump again, and then we'll get back. And I don't know, Rob, if you've got anything else, or if we were going to continue on with the subject.
We haven't gotten to finish just yet, so we'll come back to the subject. Unless you want to wait till put the bump in until we finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. You're up, actually. I was going to say, Meredith, you're up, and then I'll finish.
Oh, I was already on my soapbox, so I was going to divert it back to you and ask if there was anything else.
I don't even know where you found this. Jack's found candy, so I guess he gets it. Here's the advice I would give. Having gone through so much in the last couple of years, first, understand that it's just a bunch of idiots. Really is. Anyone who's making up lies about you and who's trying to twist something to fit their narrative, they're trying to get the attention because they think going after you is going to get them something. Chuck's not wrong. Educate people. Educate people. When they say something that's not true, jump right back to it if you can. But if I'll call it out. If you're a middle-aged white man and you're called a racist, God bless you finding a way to prove you're not racist. Because everything you say, you're just going to turn around and say, well, that's very colonial of you, and that's very hostile of you. No matter what, you're going to lose. So if you're called a racist, here's my suggestion to you, or anything else. We're in a generation or a time period now where people ask for receipts. It's the simplest thing. Okay, I'm a racist. Show me. Show me how I'm a racist. And you'll have people look, well, that wording sounded very much like this. And I'm like, but that's interpretation. So you might be a racist because you interpret it that way. Say that to a person, it'll blow their head off. They will not know how to respond to that because they're the one who saw racism, so they must have a racist brain. Right? Right? Be cleverer than them. Don't fall into their traps. Understand the whole way bullies work is they want the attention from you. When you look at someone and just go, okay, and you just walk away, you destroy a bully. You can't punch through the screen, and even if you could, it wouldn't work because you just spend all day hurting your knuckles. You can't cure stupid. You can't teach manners over the internet. But what you can do is make sure that you're acting a certain way. One of the biggest lessons I've learned, it's not about fighting back. It's about everyone else watching you and determining what you did. And more people will be proud of you if you take the hits and just walk away than if you fight back. That's just the truth. A strong person can take little gnats around their head. An out-of-control person gets a flamethrower and tries to burn all the gnats in the air. Never forget that. And I'm going to say anthology, but damn dyslexia. Meredith, what's the word?
Anecdote?
No, when you comparison, Chuck. When you compare something to something. And it sounds like anthology, but it's not. Analogy.
Analogy.
Finally clicked, and my mouth and my brain connected, and I was like, there it is. I can say it again. Meredith, take us away.
All right. We'll be right back after this.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
All right, and we're back. Thank you to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, Christian Basil. He's a great guy. Head over to, I think it's Traveling TARDIS on Facebook, and give him a follow. And we're back. Rob.
Hi. I don't know why, but my screen share suddenly stopped. I'm like, oh, did something crash while we were?
I am still having internet issues. I am not happy with my cable company right now. I feel like I've been throttled back, and I'm not happy.
All right, so this is a tie moment. So we're gonna go around the room for the tiebreaker for who wins this one. Would you guys rather talk about Hulu to advertise at the end of Mordock episodes for Marvel Comics? Oh my God, I don't even think we should talk about that. That's a no-brainer. Never mind, it's disqualified. The fact that it's taken so long for these companies to realize we should play an ad for comic books at the end of our comic book shows is ridiculous. So you know what? You guys should have known this since day one. I'm not giving you any time. Instead, we're going to talk about the January launch of Scoot. Imprint has our entire Scoot Comics team excited. We're looking forward to young readers and their family. This, of course, is not so much breaking news, but it is important news, especially in a month where we're talking about bullying. Look, I'm going to say this, and I want to kind of go off what we said in the last one, and this is just the truth. For a community that spends a lot of time writing about heroes, we act more like villains as creators. And that is the truth. I've been disgusted by a lot of fellow creators. I've been disgusted from industry to the very new creators who are coming in. I am very disturbed at the way that people have treated each other. It amazes me that the biggest complaint we have in our society right now is Donald Trump, and yet everyone wants to act like that, act just like him on social media while complaining about it. So, I think comic books for kids, I think focusing on the importance of children can really help our society. So when we suddenly realize that we might be encouraging our children to hate, when we suddenly realize that they're looking up at us, that we could be passing on bad behaviors that we don't like in ourselves, then maybe we can take a minute to think of that. So I think this is a very powerful moment to have an imprint geared towards children to change, hopefully, the world, to be honest with you. Because look, Spider-Man did, Superman did, Batman did. Maybe we can have heroes that solve moral dilemmas with farts. Maybe we can have a snowman that's going to be able to teach friendship. Maybe we can have wacky creators from the past come back. Superheroes from the past teach us about morals again. So I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I think I learned more morals from comic books than I ever did the Bible. And I know that might be controversial, but it's true. And I've read both. Well, I've read comics. Not all of them, but I've read the Bible, and I find there to be more moralistic stuff inside the pages of comics, and sometimes very deep morals. I think Travis Gibbet said it the best when he was on a panel. In comic books, we learn something. We learn that there's a difference between what you think and what you say, and that's an important lesson that I think children need to learn again. And I think comics are a great aid. There is talk about having comics being used for kids who are autistic to help them teach them social graces and stuff. So I'm going to leave it out to you. How important is it for you all to see comics in kids' hands? How important is that to you personally? Not do you think it's a good idea, but for you personally, what does it mean? And we'll start with Chuck, because I know he's worked on kids' books. So we'll go from Chuck around the room back to me. And our no, it's clockwise, actually, right? That's actually clockwise. We're going to go clockwise fashion. Chuck, take it away.
It's very important. That's not okay. I'm making sure that's not me who's echoing. It's very important to me that kids get on it, not just because of teaching them morals and whatnot, because I don't know that we should leave entertainment necessarily up to teaching our kids. That's something that we should be doing anyways. Certainly, is it something that we should try to do anyways and be a part of? Yes, absolutely. That's why being a part of things like Cat Dad and Supermom is so important to me. But also, if you actually care about comics, we need to create that next generation. We need to keep this going, and it needs to self-perpetuate. So introducing kids to this stuff and really having that be an important part of their life, and understanding that it's not just pictures. And I think one of the issues that's really hit us a lot in the comics industry is that we were told time and time again, comics isn't real reading because it's got pictures. But it's actually reading on another level. It's reading, taking in the pictures, and understanding the correlation between the two and how they bring them on. I have so many people who, like clients and whatnot, who will talk to me about things like pacing and stuff. And they're like, I don't understand pacing. And I'm like, yeah, but if you read and really looked at the whole story that is being told in a comic, you would understand that pacing because you would feel it here. And so I feel like it's important that kids see this stuff because it is a whole other medium. It's not just them staring at something and having it launched into their brain. It's them actually interacting, moving around on their own, seeing the different parts of the picture, the page that are important at that particular moment. All of that's incredibly important. And so the earlier that we can get kids into reading and into checking out all of these great stories and hopefully into these moral stories, the better I think we could be as a society.
Yeah, definitely important. I mean, if nothing else, kids need those heroes. They need people to look up to. They need somebody to actually show them those morals in actual action. They need to show them what they can actually become. So, yeah, the comic books in the hands of a kid is definitely something that needs to be done. And I have no idea how to add anything more to it than anything Chuck hasn't already added. So,
thanks, buddy.
But yeah, it comes down to it. You need those heroes. You need those you need that in the hands of the kids. And sometimes, if you can teach the kids a little bit more, like you see with some of the older kids comics, then yeah, if you can get that going as well, that'd be great too. Sean?
Hey, as someone that works with kids and I have a little girl who likes to read comics, I think it's really important that you read together, and then at the end of the reading it, you start asking them questions. And there's a lot of like deep stories of like that there are these really bad villains, but they're also people too, and the heroes will help them too because they need saving too, right? And sometimes a villain becomes a good guy or vice versa. So they're really complex stories, and it could show our kids that we can work together even though some of us don't agree all the time.
And I love that there is an imprint from Scout that they are focusing on the young readers, because I love what you said, Sean, where people need to take the time with the little ones, read together, put in the funny voices, make those inflections. The fact that comic books is marrying art with dialogue, and that you have to follow the story, that there is motion to this. I consider it very much like music. I mean, if you look at a page of music, a lot of people, think of it like reading Alien. You are translating a new language so that you can express something in an art form. And it just uses all of these different parts of your mind that helps grow and develop and, make these wonderful worlds, and that they grow up to maybe incorporate that into their real life. I mean, so just because you grow up reading comics doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be into comic books, but it might actually help you translate other things in your life and think critically and, have diverse ways of approaching things in other situations. So, I mean, I think it's so important, and to have those foundational things and to start off young, with the art, with the music, with these pathways, and that moment in your day when you can say, even if it's 15 minutes, those things. I mean, I still have memories of story time with my father reading. I did that with my children. I hope that they do that with their children. It's this thing that we carry on. Storytelling is timeless, guys. I mean, it's so important. I can't even tell you. And Magi Jake Lindsay, yes. How many comics? He's asking how many comics do you own? Beyond that, I think it's not so much owning comics. I think it's the storytelling. What we're telling the next generation through our art, through our stories. And I think it's so important because comics, as I'm learning, has such an impact in society. I mean, back in World War I and II, it was used for propaganda. It was used for really aligning the country to say, hey, we're the good guys, you're the bad guys, that type of thing. That influence can be turned and pivoted to do so much good. Teaching our kids again with the bullying, how do you cope? Honesty over, silence, maybe. Those are all things that can be expressed through this medium. That is so important. And again, I can talk for a long time about my feels and things like that, but I think it's so important that we maintain art and music. And comic books is kind of it's in there. I'm seeing it, and I really have found a new appreciation for it. Rob, I'll send it back to you. You're on mute still.
No, I know Jax was screaming as he ran by. I didn't figure you guys wanted to hear that as he left the building, as it were. Look, the end result here is Chuck's right. You can't just expect something to teach your kids. You have to be involved in your kids, and that's a lot of the problem. And there's a lot of people who are working really hard and don't always have the time. Comics are a good way to have something read by your child that you can then talk to them about deeper, and you guys can have a deeper conversation that they've seen something. Comics are just a good thing for kids, and I think that it's time that we understood that they're a great way to tell stories, respect it as such, and just appreciate it as it is. And if you want to take a bump, you can take your final bump now. And then when we come back, we'll talk about my pick for the headline of the week. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Here we go. I'm looking for the final bump. There we go. We'll be right back. At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more. And we're back. All right, Rob, what was the next thing on the list? He's dealing with the screaming. Jaxie. Oh, all right. Hey.
Sorry, he's hyped up this morning. He's just really excitable this morning, so I had to go spend a minute with him. So here we go. Kind of a twofer. Of course, New York Comic Con's happening this weekend. It's online. They combined it with MCM, which was the England version of New York Comic Con. So they put the two of them together, called it Metaverse. I haven't heard anyone really talking about it again, but no one's saying anything bad yet. But I have seen them sharing the panel stuff, which is good. So there's a lot of news coming out that's excited people. But one of the things that went along with it was, hold on one second. Sorry. He's just screaming. He's got to learn not to scream also for school, so he's not so loud. So one of the big things that happens at New York Comic Con, it's the anniversary of my good friend Victor Dandridge's Vantage House in-house productions company. He's been making comics for 10 years. So I want to actually talk about legacy right now. Both New York Comic Con has continued to survive. As Chuck had said, they pivoted. They found a way to continue going. In-house Vantage and Victor Dandridge, hardest working man in comics, has learned to pivot every year and has changed and has grown and has now built a universe that could be the size of Marvel one day. It continues to be like a Millar universe that Netflix is having. So I'm very proud of him. 10 years of creating comics and doing panels, doing it all. How important is it to show staying power? Because, I mean, so many people show up, tell us they're going to make the best comic book in the world, and now they're gone. Chuck's been around now about 4 years. I'm sure he could list off the top of his head 50 people who said they were going to change the industry that we don't hear from anymore. These people who come in and tell us that they're the rock stars, they're going to change everything, and then they're suddenly gone. So there's something about staying power that's very important in comics. I want to end the program today talking about that. We have new people on the panel. I think I might have everyone almost beat with 20 years of being part of the industry, whether covering it or any of that, even though it took me years to produce it. Chuck's not far behind me. I think Chuck's like 15 years with the background stuff he was doing and the writing the fiction and playing the games.
Yeah. If we're talking about adding the game creation and whatnot, I'm rated around 20 years.
Oh, right. So he's right with me. Meredith, I know, is
Yeah.
a decade because she's been writing stuff for at least a decade now, right?
Oh, well beyond that.
All right. So we have seasoned writers. Sean, how long have you been creating? This is going to be your first creation, right?
Yeah, this is gonna be my first creation.
Someone brand new. And even though we called Meredith the comics noob, she's had experience with all this stuff before that. She's just new to comics. And James, how long have you been in the industry from the outside as you are? And all that.
Sorry. I'm basically probably, all told, probably just a couple of years. I mean, I've got Sex Percussions, but and the podcast and the blog. But other than that,
there's nothing wrong with it either, mind you. This is just showing you the difference of it and what it means. As someone who's been around like Chuck and Meredith, we see times change. Hold on, got to yell at the kid again. And we see that times have changed, and we've watched the changes. We saw print on demand become a thing in comic books, and that changed the industry. That really changed everything. We've seen Kickstarter become a product, and a product that other people sell you on how to make your Kickstarter great. Give me $500 and I'll promote it for you. We've seen businesses spawn from that. We've seen comic book stores actually blame us for finding a way to make money when they wouldn't let us join through crowdfunding. And now we're finding a place where we're all coming back together and hopefully building an industry that's never been seen before, where we use direct to market, we use direct to customer methods, and we use crowdfunding. So I wanted you guys to talk about how important is it for you personally to build a legacy, and do you feel it's important will you take anyone serious within their first couple of years, or do you honestly wait to see what they do year after year? Does that start making you more like, okay, there's someone I should invest in? So I'm going to pass it around the room. We went clockwise the other way, so we'll go counterclockwise. Meredith, start us off.
Okay. I love underdog stories, so I love finding new creators who want to take the path. Now, anybody who comes out of the gate right away and says, hey, I want to be the next, pick a name, Stanley, then you have to consider, like, are they really taking it seriously? What is their motivation behind that? Because a lot of times I've found, just in dealing with people, is those shooting stars blow out really quickly. It's the ones who kind of keep their head down, they keep working, then they become the overnight success, because they laid down the groundwork to do it right, to learn the craft. And those are the people that I want to find, so, it's great to come out of the gate and be really enthusiastic and stuff like that. But then somebody said it earlier, show the receipts. What have you been doing? What is your pathway? What is your genesis story? What are you trying to create here? Is this because you're looking to maybe get that movie deal, or is it because you actually appreciate the craft? And so finding that diamond in the rough is tough, and you're going to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince. But there's so much out there. I wouldn't even know how to focus and find them except to throw a wide net and say, hey, let's see where you go, and kind of keep track of your favorites. And you're going to find your favorites because of their personality. Things like this, social media connections, networking opportunities, Comic Cons when they open. You're going to find people that you jive with and connect with, and then you're going to follow their path. And then through recommendations, I think that's the other way to do. But I'm going to pass the baton to Sean.
So as someone just starting out, I started by talking to other creators, and it's such a great community, because they'll tell you everything. They'll be like, oh, you need to do this. These are some elements that you should consider. This is how you should research. This is how you should reach out to people. Just get your name out there. Start talking to people. and just connecting, and then just building your network from there.
James, how about you?
First off, I'm still waiting for webcomics to be taken a little bit more seriously. But basically, I think that's going to be, always think that's going to be the next big thing. But as far as legacy, yeah, I'm a little bit more hesitant to go into, get into somebody who's a little bit new, because you're never sure exactly how long they're going to be around and how much that's going to be just a flash in the pan. Because sometimes you've got somebody who does a really great comic and it's only for like 3 or 4 issues, and that's it. You never really hear from that person again, or that was the best work that person will ever done. And they keep trying. It just doesn't work out too well for them afterwards. Mm-hmm. So when it comes down to it, I'm definitely looking for somebody who can be around for a long period of time. And that's sort of what's sort of cool about, doing the reviews I do, is because you're constantly looking for that new talent that can break out and actually have some actual fun with the medium. And I'm always looking for that kind of stuff. And it's just interesting to see how few people actually have any kind of longevity. Like I said, they'll do that one really cool thing and that's it. It's like the one-hit wonders of the 80s. So I'd really like to see some people actually start looking at it in terms of longevity rather than just simply, do what they can as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I mean, because like that, it feels like a notch in the bedpost. It's like, yeah, been there, done that, moving on.
Yeah. People need to look at this more as a career than just something they can do really quick. So,
Chuck,
but I think that you can see that with a lot with art. So yeah, good, Chuck. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good, man. No, I like what you were saying. So I'll come out with something controversial, and I'll say, screw your legacy. The thing is that I have an awful lot of people who will come to me and they'll start some sort of argument, or they'll start it by saying, I've been in this industry for blank years. I don't care how many years you've been in the industry. You shouldn't have to tell me. It should speak for itself. So that in and of itself is not an argument. You don't get this badge that says, hey, by being in the industry for 20 years, I get to be this level of an asshole. It doesn't work like that, sweetheart. So here's the thing. When I'm editing a book, I will often have to tell my clients, show, don't tell. If you want a legacy, you have to create that. You have to work. You have to put every brick in front of it. I know, I have started to develop a name, but what a lot of people will be surprised by is I didn't get my first credit until 2017. That was just 3 years ago. And now I have literally dozens, probably anywhere between 30 and 60 credits. I have no idea. But it's because I put my head down, I did the work, and I realized what was important to me, and I just made it happen. And that is what matters. Doing the work, getting your stuff out there, caring. All of that stuff is a legacy. But I don't talk to you about that. I just do it. And then other people can say, oh, dude, Chuck's done all this, or Rob has done all this stuff. Other people should be talking about your legacy, not you. It's not for you to talk about your legacy. It's for other people to talk about. For you, you need to create it. And by creating it, it is just doing the work and caring enough to keep pushing and keep going. That's a legacy, and that's something that people can get behind. So don't come in here and tell me I'm going to do all this and I'm going to do all this and I'm this and that. I don't care. Your words mean nothing to me. What means something to me is what I see from you. So go do the stuff, and then we'll have that conversation.
And that's why Chuck is cool AF.
Yeah, baby.
I'm going to have fun with that for just a sec, if you don't mind. Building on that, one of the things that really amuses me, you have all these people that basically have been in the business for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it's like you get the feeling they should have gotten out of it a long time ago. It's just they're doing the same comics, they're doing the same thing. They're not doing anything innovative, new, different. It's
they don't have to. Well, hold on. You don't have to. Anyone should be able to create whatever they want. As long as they're getting bonus, dude. They don't have to change a damn thing. And I'll say that because there's Peanuts been going on how long? How long have we seen Peanuts? Some things are okay. Archie comics are still Archie comics.
Well,
true. Point about Webtoons as well. Webtoons is seeing Archie join it with brand new stuff weekly. I think they said it's either weekly or monthly. I'd have to go back and look at the article. So there is changes, but never knock someone because they don't want to change what they're doing. That's their right. That's their lane. Allow them to create what they want to create. We should never tell someone how to create.
Well, the interpretation that I got from what James said, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so James, respond afterwards. But the interpretation that I had was if you're taking the same story and rehashing it. I mean, of course, love stories, whatever. There's nothing original under the sun. Not anymore. It's how we tell our tales using our voice and stuff. So go ahead, James, if you wanted to kind of expand on that, because for me, again, it's about if you take the same story and you're just changing the names.
Yeah. I'll point out real quick with Peanuts and Archie, even though they've been around for decades and they have the same basic themes and all that, you still see a little bit of changes here and there. Franklin, for example, was a major change when it happened. You're still seeing some really interesting stuff happen. I'm just looking at the people that are basically the comics equivalent of that studio musician that everybody knows, and they hire him because of that one particular sound. It's just at some point, that's all they're doing. They're not really adding anything to the industry. They're just simply being there.
But I think what you're missing, my point, is that is the part of the industry. So if they stop doing it, we lose that part of the industry.
Well, true.
That's the point. And the comics should never be about anyone telling anyone that they can't. I get told all the time that you can't tell a new story. Tell me a story that teaches morals with farts where farts are used like a Green Lantern ring. Tell me a story that's out there in comic books about a young woman going through the New York City fetish underground that also teaches safety and teaches about the humanity of people with fetishes. Tell me a story where monsters were made human beings given genetic disorders, and it was you guys having to look at how you look at other people that made you re-examine it. Well, wait a minute. Just because someone looks different, am I making them into something they're not? There's always ways to do it. Belial is an old story with an updated contemporary idea. Meredith is working on a horror thing. Should she stop because there's not horror? And I'm not coming down on you, James. I'm coming down on the idea because I've heard it before, and it just bothers me somehow. Because then if we start thinking that way, Meredith is right. Stop creating. Then we might as well just reboot.
Yeah.
Because if you're telling people to not create, you're stopping them. And you don't know that creator that you think's not creating something new could stumble upon the biggest break. Deadpool was meant to be a throwaway character. Deadpool was never meant to be Deadpool. Never forget that. Superman was turned down by Will Eisner because didn't think it was possible. So we have to make room for everyone to create is my point. Never say I don't like this person creating. Bragging about having accolades that you don't have, making an award so you can get an award, all those things I get. But never knock someone. If they're creating, God bless you, welcome to the group. I'll never tell someone they can't create something. That's for them to decide, not me. You know what I mean, James?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just sort of a weird position because you've got some people that are starting, and where I'm hearing an echo all of a sudden from. But I'm just seeing some people that are gotten so used to doing it this way that they actually do start knocking other people for trying all that new stuff. I'm trying to do stuff with the SCP, for example. Don't ask. It's my Inktober Rebellion thing. But the thing is that you're seeing a lot of some of the seasoned pros in the movie industry are knocking some of the new creators because they're not doing the same stuff that they did way back when, or they're trying to figure out a new way to do a new twist on new stuff. So it's sort of a weird situation because you've got some people that are they've gotten so used to doing it the way they do that that's the only way that they see that the industry should go.
I say let them. I heard a really good story by Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is sitting down and he's talking with Jerry Seinfeld, and Jerry Seinfeld asked him about Richard Pryor, and Eddie got really sad, and he said, "You know what? I looked up to Richard Pryor. I loved Pryor. I loved everything he did, but whenever I got into a room, Richard left, and he found out it was because." Richard knew, or Richard felt like there was only room for the one black guy in the room. And Richard was not ready to give that up. And had Richard perhaps taken on more of a mentor role and worked with him, that might have been a beautiful relationship, because Eddie, again, looked up to him. So for a lot of us, we're looking up to these creators. If they want to try to give us a smack, go ahead, because my Raw, it's on its way, baby. And if you guys want to try to take your hits, someone is going to get up there. And they're going to use those methods that you think don't work. So you can say whatever you want, but that legacy will make itself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're just about at the end of our 2-hour mark. I will say in closing for this that legacy is important if it matters, and only when it matters. Creating something that stands up to the test of time. Like Chuck said, you sit around for 20 years not earning your keep every year, then what does it matter? You know, there are certain people we always have to nod our head to. Neil Adams. Even Rob Liefeld, who I see constantly attacked on social media as if it's okay. This is a person who's done more for comics than 95 to 98% of the creators that have ever shown up in comics. And that includes myself so far. He has done amazing things. You owe him respect if you're in this industry. And it comes down to respect, not from down up and from up down as well. We shouldn't look down on each other. We shouldn't tell each other how to create. We shouldn't tell each other how to be. You don't like their story, don't buy it. You don't have to trash it. You don't like what they're creating, move on to what you do. But always allow people the room to create and always give people that room. And if you do that, it's been my biggest gripe about this new generation of creators who came in from Hollywood who are now disappearing. They came in with this idea that they were owed something. Chuck is one of the old school guys who earned his way in, worked his ass off. You know, I've seen Meredith doing that, listening to people, taking notes, doing all that. Sean's asking people. Jameis is out there interviewing people and getting to know what's going on. You don't come in and celebrate success. You don't get it. There are so many great people who have been here who never made it. There are so many creators who never got the spotlight they should have gotten because their attitude got in their way. Humble rises quickly in comics. Egos drown fast. That's why when you go to a Comic-Con and you see all these artists out there who no longer working, former Marvel artists, former DC artists, never forget that. There are Comic-Cons full of people who are former. Yet there are certain names that never stop working in comics. When you ask about them, they're humble. They get their work done on time. They do quality work. And they don't have a social media presence. I ask you again, what was Stan Lee? Was he a Democrat? Was he a Republican? You can't tell me. Maybe you could look it up and find something, but it's not going to be right at your fingertips. Same thing with Jack Kirby, Neil Adams, all these people. Don't get confused. When you're in Hollywood and you're an actor, there seems to be things you get away with. While comics can be like Hollywood, you can't say certain things. They'll come back and bite you, and it will end your career. Because trust me, we all watch each other. And there's a thin line, and I've walked that thin line, and I've never crossed over it. I've done things I regret. I've apologized for them. But I've never crossed that line because in the end, I choose to be humble every day, just like Chuck is, and I give him a lot of credit for being humble. And I give everyone on this panel who are humble. You don't brag. I hate braggers. There's a lot of accomplishments, but I always say it this, and I'm going to give it to Meredith. Every accomplishment I get to just means that there's another one I have to get to above it. I will never stop trying to accomplish. It's just that's that step getting me higher and higher and higher. I don't care if I get Netflix deals. I don't care if I get billion-dollar box office movies. It'll always be what's my next creation or what's the next chapter to this creation. Meredith.
Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking off of that, it's one thing to build your portfolio, and it's okay to promote what you do and say, this is what I do. This is my portfolio. This is the wealth of content that I have created. But if you're taking your arm off to pat your own back and you're the loudest voice celebrating you, you're doing it wrong. Back to you, Rob. Was there anything else? I mean, like a real quick...
Nope. Time to say goodbye. We only got 7 minutes. Let's get everyone.
All right.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to put them up on the main screen? Let them say goodbyes. I'm just in the middle of something.
Sure. We'll go clockwise this time. So, Chuck, go ahead and tell people where they can find you and what you're doing, and there you go.
Hey cuties, it's me, Chuck. How are we doing today? I'm a writer, editor, and I love comics, as I'm sure you've seen if you've watched this whole thing today. I'm very excited to be releasing something of my own right now. It's Belial. This is issue 1. We're going to be doing issue 2 very soon. It's coming out on the 13th, and I would love for you guys to drop in. We've got all sorts of goodness. This is all about the original creator of Hell and his comedic adventures to take it back from Satan. In the meantime, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, where can they find you, and where can they follow that the links?
Yes, ma'am. You can find me on Facebook, Chuck Pineau down there. You can find me on Twitter at ChuckyPin. You can find me Chuck Pineau on Instagram. You can also find my Chuck's Raw Reviews, where I talk about other people's amazing books, on YouTube. And you can find my my publishing wing, Bonfire Press, on Facebook as well, www.facebook.com/bonfirepress.
All right, Chuck, did I interrupt any more of your pitch?
No, man, I could pitch all day. We're good.
All right, we're moving on to James then. There you go.
Hi, I'm Jamais Jochim. I'm host of Webcomics Reviews and Interviews. We do a lot of weird stuff when it comes to comics creation, show you how to do the writing, have a little bit of fun, sometimes a little too much fun, and we do a lot of interviews and reviews with people in the industry, and reviews of specifically webcomics and sometimes some other weirdness. I can be found on pretty much any podcast distributor out there, from Apple to iTunes to pretty much everywhere. If you can't find me, there's a problem. Let me know. I'm on Facebook, again, Jamais Jochim, and sit back, relax, let the Geek Fest begin. Let's talk.
And what's the name of your show again?
Webcomics Reviews and Interviews.
All right. Sean, you're up.
Hey everyone, my name is Sean. I'm the co-founder of 8-Bit Shinobi. I'm currently working on my first comic book series called Paranormal Academy. We are launching October 31st. We got a lot of sweet rewards. I'm talking to Fire and Steel, and we're looking at building an elven sword for my main character. You can find me on Twitter, 8Shinobi. I'm on Facebook, 8-Bit Shinobi. I have a group. I have my business Facebook, and our webpage, 8bitshinobi.ca.
Okay. And I'm going to put myself up on the screen. I'm Meredith Loughran. You can find me at meredithloughran.com. We are doing an event in November, from November 9th through the 13th. That's Indie Event. You can look up the hashtag INDEEVENT. You can find my contact information there if you are interested in being part of a panel or bringing your own show. We're going to have a lot of fun. And that's really it. I'm going to pass the baton back to Rob so that he can close us out. Rob, you're on mute again.
I don't know why, but it's not unmuting today. It's being weird. Stop being weird, StreamYard. Yeah. I'm going to do Saturday Night Live goodbye one which shows the whole cast as Chuck's drinking, so it's been a hard show for him, to be honest, with these people. Driven to drinking. We always get together every Sunday here at 11, talk about the headlines. It's always good to see, especially during this time where Penn, causes us to not be able to go to shows, not having New York Comic Con. And here's the shirt. This is actually a real shirt I wore when I did my comic book. This is years ago. Let's just put it, I'm getting old. We're going to leave it at that. But it's something I'm super excited about. I will say on this show that I am planning to, I did have a past versions of all my books. This year has been so horrible. So all of my earlier work, I'm going to be giving out for free starting next week. I am going to invite everyone to get all of my earlier work, including the Monsters books, for free for the next couple weeks, to entertain yourselves, to distract yourselves from this political nonsense that's out there. Keep up with me at MrAndersin.com. Check out CatDadandSupermom.com and find out when it'll be available in Diamond. That's right. That's coming soon. Also, check out comicbookadvocates.com. Make sure you check out all these people, like their pages, subscribe to the network, subscribe to Geek Insider YouTube, and stay in the know with CNW. Every day at 11 a.m., we give you the news. By noon, you'll know more about comics than most people will know all week by just watching one show. We do it 5 times a week. So that's it, guys. We've got a new outro. Credit to Meredith Loughran, who's given us some badass intro and outro today. So here we go. Check this out. It's a look into the past of this show, actually.